reading from the Book of Wisdom of Solomon. That night had been foretold to our ancestors, and knowing in what promise they trusted, they could rejoice in all surety. Your people waited for both the salvation of the just and the downfall of their enemies. For the very punishment of our enemies brought glory to the people you have called, that is, to us. The holy race secretly offered the Passover sacrifice and really agreed on this worthy pact, that they would share alike both blessings and dangers. And forthwith they began to sing the hymns of their fathers. Responsorial Song. Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be his own.
Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be his own.
Rejoice, you righteous, in the Lord. Praise from the upright is fitting.
Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be his own.
Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people chosen as his inheritance.
Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be his own.
Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon those who fear him, upon those who count on his mercy, to deliver their soul from death, and to keep them alive through famine.
Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be his own.
Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and shield, for in him our hearts rejoice. In his holy name we trust. May your mercy, Lord, be upon us, as we put our hope in you.
Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be his own.
A reading from the letter to the Hebrews. Faith is the assurance of what we hope for, being certain of what we cannot see. Because of their faith, our ancestors were approved. It was by faith that Abraham, called by God, set out for a country that would be given to him as an inheritance, for he parted without knowing where he was going. By faith, he lived as a stranger in that promised land. There he lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, beneficiaries of the same promise. Indeed, he looked forward to that city of solid foundation, of which God is the architect and builder. By faith, Sarah herself received power to become a mother, in spite of her advanced age, since she believed that he who had made the promise would be faithful. Therefore, from an almost impotent man were born descendants, as numerous as the stars of heaven, as many as the grains of sand on the seashore. Death found all these people strong in their faith. They had not received what was promised, but they had looked ahead and had rejoiced in it from afar, saying that they were foreigners and travelers on earth. Those who speak in this way prove that they are looking for their own country. For if they had longed for the land they had left, it would have been easy for them to return. But no, they aspired to a better city, that is, a supernatural one. So God, who prepared the city for them, is not ashamed of being called their God. By faith, Abraham went to offer Isaac when God tested him. And so he, who had received the promise of God, offered his only son, although God had told him, Isaac's descendants will bear your name. Abraham reasoned that God is capable even of raising the dead, and he received back his son, which has a figurative meaning. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it has pleased your Father to give you the kingdom. Sell what you have and give alms. Get yourselves purses that do not wear out, and an inexhaustible treasure in the heavens, where no thief comes and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Be ready, dress for service, and keep your lamps lit, like people waiting for their master to return from the wedding. As soon as he comes and knocks, they will open the door to him. Happy are those servants whom the master finds wide awake when he comes. Truly I tell you, he will put on an apron and have them sit at table, and he will wait on them. Happy are those servants if he finds them awake when he comes at midnight or daybreak. Pay attention to this. If the master of the house had known at what time the thief would come, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be ready, for the Son of Man will come at an hour you do not expect. Peter said, Lord, did you tell this parable only for us or for everyone? And the Lord replied, Imagine then the wise and faithful steward, whom the master sets over his other servants, to give them wheat at the proper time. Fortunate is this servant if his master, on coming home, finds him doing his work. Truly I say to you, the master will put him in charge of all his property. But it may be that the steward thinks, My Lord delays in coming, and he begins to abuse the male servants and the servant girls, eating and drinking and getting drunk. Then the master will come on a day he does not expect, and at an hour he doesn't know. He will cut him off and send him to the same fate as the unfaithful. The servant who knew his master's will, but did not prepare and do what his master wanted, will be soundly beaten. But the one who does unconsciously what deserves punishment shall receive fewer blows. Much will be required of the one who has been given much, and more will be asked of the one who has been entrusted with more.
Reflection for the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Though in life we know we are inevitably amid much uncertainty, we still feel uneasy and disturbed. For not a few of us, such uncomfortable uncertainty may draw us to the terrifying boundaries of hopelessness, beyond which there can only be hatred, anarchy, and violence. That is why much of what we do in this world are attempts to mask this uncertainty in a pretentious cloak of certainty, because we typically cannot and will not live the rest of our lives not knowing what we are supposed to know. There is nothing wrong with wanting to know what we need to know, but a misplaced trust in our capacity to try to know everything, unfortunately closes us to and disengages us from the God of surprises. What is it like to place our trust instead in the mystery? Our conditioned responses to realities which we cannot comprehend defaults us to a transactional way of relating to God. I will agree to do what you are telling me to do, only if I can be sure of your promised returns. It is amusing to note that we may be demanding from the Spirit what we normally cannot demand from our own economies and governments. However, God strangely operates in the reverse. Regardless of what we think about Him, He is the mystery that must be trusted. Whatever He offers us, He is offering not only in His omniscience, but in His eternal love for His creation, which He intends to breathe and die within the extraordinary wonders and unpredictable dynamics of space, as well as within the peaceful rhythms and orderly cycles of time. If we are still uncomfortable enough to want to satisfy this uncertainty, then we should look at what the Scriptures teach us. Faith is the assurance of what we hope for, being certain of what we cannot see. Because of their faith, our ancestors were approved. They had not received what was promised, but they had looked ahead and had rejoiced in it from afar, saying that they were foreigners and travelers on earth. Those who speak in this way prove that they are looking for their own country. For if they had longed for the land they had left, it would have been easy for them to return. But no, they aspired to a better city, that is, a supernatural one. We will always be uncertain about what we pray for, but we can always be certain that He will lovingly bless us with the unexpected. Therefore, in this sense, the Christ exhorts us to prepare for the unexpected, to prepare for the mystery. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it has pleased your Father to give you the kingdom, and so be ready by offering the sacrifice so that we can share alike both blessings and dangers. We must always perform our Christian service in spite of the uncertainty of the Master's coming.